Hey, Brandon here. Welcome back to the channel, and thanks for tuning in. I'm going to continue my summer scouting series here on the Devy to Dynasty Football YouTube channel. We're going to talk 2024 running backs. 2024 running backs that I believe have the best shot of hitting our Dynasty rosters. I'm going to go in depth on 7 running backs. And then I'm going to give you probably 6 or 7, 8 other names as a watch list as we head into the 2023 season. All right. So I've been watching these prospects for 2 years. I feel like I got a pretty good handle, but yet we have another whole season of fall ball before these guys declare for the NFL draft. I did a quarterback show just like this a few weeks ago. I will add that to the end of this show. So after this show, you can go take a look at my quarterback rankings as we head into the summer scouting series. Great time of year to really get an early look at some of these draft prospects for the 2024 draft next year. And then, the best part about this for me is I get to identify what I'm looking for this year to see how they can improve on their game. First question I get on my Dynasty, Devy to Dynasty dashboard subscribers on my Slack chat is, is there a Bijan Robinson in next year's class? And I'm here to say that there is not. I think personally it's going to be a horse race to the end, and there could be a myriad of players that are drafted first overall. May get 1 or 2 in the first round, getting draft capital next year, but I see most of these guys probably, early day 2, maybe 1 or 2 squeaks in if they have a phenomenal season. But I think most of the players we're going to talk about today is going to start coming off the board early second round. All right. So let's get right to it, man. I'm going to start off with, I'm going to go in depth on 7 players. I'm going to start with my 7th player, do the big old countdown down to number 1. And then, like I said, I'm going to share some watch list running backs that I've got my eye on that I'm going to be watching that could, get into the conversation as we, approach the draft next year. So coming in at number 7, let's get right to it. It's going to be Will Shipley, running back, 5'11", 205 pounds. He is going to be a junior. So you're going to see these show cards, guys, that I have up here with a lot of information. I'm going to go over the career stats. Will Shipley's played for 2 years. The PFF grades here to give you a little overview of the show. I basically have 3 or 4 items from PFF stats, and then they're, the percentages based, on really 125 minimum carries draft eligible in 2024 or 2025 are, basically the ranks that you see in parentheses. I'm going to give you a little scouting report. Then we're going to have some fun with some draft and dynasty projections. All right. So Will Shipley coming in at number 7, just dropped a detailed all 22 film review on this channel a few days ago, on Will Shipley. So you can go and take a look at that. But overall, Will Shipley had a very productive career at Clemson. I'm not going to go over all the, the stats and everything for each one of these players. You can see that. The only thing that kind of glares out to me from his production standpoint as far as career statistics is the 5 fumbles. He's got to learn how to, hold on to the ball a little better. PFF grades here, again, these are from the 2022 season. All right, the statistics are for those 2 years of playing. But you can see here his grades were pretty much in the top 20 across the board. Nothing really explosive or great. His scouting report for me was a 5-star prospect. I mean, this kid is a true athlete. I really believe Will Shipley is a great overall athlete. He played lacrosse in high school, played multiple sports in high school, actually. But again, making his film on this YouTube channel, Will Shipley to me is a really good college running back who would have a role at the NFL level. I just don't see any wow moments. I don't see any real big space creation plays. He's really good out of the backfield. So on these scouting reports on these cards, guys, you're going to see 2 pluses and 1 minuses, right? So these are kind of my overall scouting reports right now that I also have in my Devy to Dynasty dashboard, which is a product that you could purchase as well. I'll add some information at the end of the show on that as well for you to take a look at, where I have more detailed scouting reports on these players. But let's get back to it, man. Will Shipley, I think, is an overall good player. He's got good vision, follows his blockers really well. Like I said, I think he's a good athlete, good acceleration. He's a little bursty. He just, to me, lacks that physical play strength that I look for in running backs, the ability to move the pile. He does a really nice job falling forward, striving for that extra yards, which is great. But I think he's an average lateral mover, and I'm a big space creation guy. When it comes to scouting running backs, scouting wide receivers, I want to see, space creation, right? So pretty much, the blocking up front is going to do the majority of the work, but you've got to space create, and you need lateral movement for that. And I think that's where Will Shipley, he's got some good footwork, but I don't see a great lateral mover and somebody who's super, super explosive. Again, we got another year of film left, but I know what I'm looking for with Will Shipley. I'm going to be looking for a little bit more burst and acceleration when it comes to, long field speed. Like I said, I think he's got good burst and footwork at the line of scrimmage and can nimble his way. Just don't see his ability to jump cut, make guys miss, have guys, bounce off him tackling wise. Goes down a little easy for me too. So again, I'm looking for a little play strength this season, looking for a little bit more explosive plays. All right. He averaged 5.6 yards a carry. Not bad. Caught 41 balls last year, which is great too. So he's going to be a PPR option at the next level. So his draft and dynasty projections, where I see him right now, I think he is a day 2 selection. I think in our Superflex rookie drafts, he's a late first, mid second, late first to mid second, selection. Again, depends on draft capital. Again, this is way early, man. We are like way early in discussing these prospects, but that's where I see him now, given, I guess, the running backs that came out for the draft this past year as well. So in Dynasty, I think he's a committee back. I don't think this guy is ever going to get drafted by an NFL team and be handed the keys to the kingdom. We know in the NFL right now, it is typically a, running back by committee, but he's going to get drafted. He's going to obviously get into a running back room, most likely with an established starter already, and will be able to contribute, maybe find and carve out a role as a third down back and a spot starter. All right. Coming in at number 6 is RAHEIM Sanders, running back, 6'2", 237 pounds. I think there was a report on Twitter recently where he's up to 242. Not so sure. I love hearing that news out of RAHEIM Sanders. We had a lot of smaller backs last year come into the draft. This year, everyone's excited because we got a lot of these bigger backs. But just because you're a bigger back, doesn't mean that you're going to be a productive fantasy starter. Right? He's going to be a junior. He's played for 2 seasons. You can see his career stats here. He also had 5 fumbles in his first 2 years, averaged 6 yards a carry. Man, this guy has been a workhorse. People are really, really excited. Now, you're probably, thinking to yourself, man, you got him at number 6. He's like an RB1 for a lot of players. So, Brandon, tell me why, he is not higher on your list. Okay, again, I have a detailed all-22 film review on this YouTube channel. Go check it out. And me and my podcast co-host, Jason DiRienzo, we broke down his film for 3 or 4 games from 2022, and I think he's got some work to do. I mean, he's a 4-star prospect. He came in as an athlete, so he's a converted running back. So you can kind of see a little bit as well that he's still got some room for growth. Okay, he's still a raw route runner. Didn't run a lot of running back, I believe, in high school a lot, not like typical running backs that we get excited about that have, been running in high school and playing running back. I think he played linebacker and all sorts of stuff. But this guy's a one-cut north-south runner. He's got power. He's got contact balance. He's got good hands. My issue with him is I really didn't love his vision at the line of scrimmage. I thought he danced around a lot and just kind of followed his tacklers. I didn't find him overly creative, and I kind of question his play strength. Somebody who's 6'2", 240 pounds, he got stood up a lot and he got pushed back often, and that kind of really was a red flag for me. I don't care how big you are or how tough you are, man. If it's someone that size, you've got to be really a hard guy to bring down and fight for every yard, and I just didn't see that with Sanders. So I've got a little pause on his overall game, and I'm in a minority here. I know most people have Sanders like RB1, RB2 in next year's class. Not me right now. I've got to see a little bit more, again, the wow factor. I don't want to continue to use that word, but you have to create on your own. You got to make guys miss. You got to have the good footwork. You got to stop, start. You got to reaccelerate. And I see him more of like a plotting type running back who gets a thing of some momentum. And people are enamored with the size. They're looking at King Henry at Tennessee. This kid is not Derrick Henry 2.0. Not for me, he's not. Derrick Henry has much better footwork, much better play strength. But again, Sanders has another year to develop. That's what I'm looking for. You can see he's got some really good PFF grades. 65 missed tackles force was 8th in the class. Again, that's running back, so at 125 carries that are eligible for the draft in 2024 and 2025. So it might be contradictory to what I'm saying. I don't care what the PFF stats. I watched enough RAHEIM Sanders to know good back, one-cut runner, gets upfield, but he's not going to make a ton of guys miss. I don't care what those stats say. The film that I've watched, I got to believe my own eyes. There's a chance that he could rise up my ranks. I mean, there legitimately is a chance, but there's other backs that I think have a little bit more burst and acceleration. RAHEIM Sanders made some really nice receptions too. 38 catches over 2 years. So again, big back with PPR upside. I can see why people are excited, but there's just other backs that I like in this class a little better at this moment. Again, we have another whole year of film to watch. All right, coming in at number 5 is Donovan Edwards, running back, 6'1", 204 pounds. Like to see him get to that 215-pound range. Again, it sounds like a broken record, but this channel, subscribe to the channel, please. I have, again, a detailed all-22 film breakdown on this channel on Donovan Edwards. Again, Jason DiRienzo and myself, we broke down 2 games of his in all 22 film, every play, every snap of his film on those games, not just the highlights, for you to get a really good idea. Donovan Edwards is an exciting prospect. A lot of people have him really, really high up. For me, I'm just not there yet. Okay, he had people look at him and he's got, gaudy stats, 7.0 yards a carry. People talk about, oh my God, the Ohio State game. That's the game we actually made a video on this YouTube channel. He had 2 runs at the end of the game that were for 60 yards that really padded his stats. I like Donovan Edwards as a player, but here are my concerns with him right now. Okay, he's a 5-star prospect coming out. I'm a film guy, so I'm looking at the film. I'm looking for, the translatable traits that I see going to the NFL. He's going to get good draft capital. He's exciting. People look at Donovan Edwards and they say, oh, he's a pass-catching back. His freshman year at Michigan, he lined up wide outside a lot his freshman year and his sophomore year last year. So that's got people excited, thinking that he could be this back, kind of like Jahmyr Gibbs. I see people comping him to Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs was, I think, a lot more explosive than Donovan Edwards. Now, Donovan Edwards might get there, but I don't see it yet. He's got versatility as a receiver. All right, so from a dynasty standpoint, we know we love the running backs that can catch the ball. But as you can see from the stats, over 2 years, he had 31 receptions. RAHEIM Sanders had 38, and Will Shipley, going back in my thing here, had 41. So Donovan Edwards can't be labeled as that pass-catching back. Most of the backs in this class have pass-catching ability. All right, so he's got acceleration. He's a slasher. He's got quick feet. My issue with him was his vision, especially with the big holes that Michigan opens up. And I think he just lacks functional play strength. At 6'1", 204 pounds, I just don't see the leg drive. And, he went down relatively quickly, didn't break a ton of tackles. You could see he had 19 missed tackles forced, which was like 20th. Again, Donovan Edwards didn't reach that threshold of 124, so those parentheses stats and percentages could be a little skewed. I tried my best to kind of put him in with everybody else. But overall, I think Edwards is a nice prospect. I think he's going to get day 2 draft capital. All right. I think he's going to get, again, a late first, early second. It's early, but that's where we are. We're going to have 3 or 4 quarterbacks most likely come off the board like every rookie draft. And then that's when the wide receivers and running backs come off the board. And of course, as we know, it all depends on draft capital and landing spots, 2 of the most important aspects in really trying to determine, when these prospects are going to get drafted in our rookie drafts. But it's fun nonetheless, to have a conversation here almost a year out on where they are, to at least put them on your radar. Okay. From a dynasty, I think he's a 3rd down back. I don't see Donovan Edwards ever coming in and being a lead back for an NFL team. I think he's going to come in, be part of a committee. I think RAHEIM Sanders is probably going back to him. I see him also being a committee back. He might have the ability, given his size, to be a bell cow like Stevenson up in New England or something like that. But I got to see a little bit more from him, and we have already spoken about him. But Donovan Edwards is an exciting prospect. Again, coming in at number 5 here. Let's see if he can put on a little bit more weight. Let's see if he can, I want to see a little bit more power. I want to see a little bit more juking, guys. There's a lot of people that say how explosive he is, but you really watch a lot of the film. He had like 7, 8 long runs over 50 yards that really padded his stats. There were a lot of games where he just didn't, wasn't as productive as I would like to see. But again, we got another whole year. He was only a sophomore, so we got a lot of film left to go. Coming in at number 4, one of my favorite running backs who is really off the Devy radar right now. He's really off just pretty much everyone's list, and that's Blake Corum, number 4. 5'8", 210 pounds. He is going to be really the only senior we talk about on this show right now. His career statistics for 3 years, you can see averaging 5.9 yards a carry. Receptions, he had 35. So again, he didn't catch a ton of balls out of the backfield, but I know the kid can. He's only had 1 fumble in 3 years, which is outstanding. The guy is a baller, and he's really good. You can see his stats here. He had the number 1 rushing grade in PFF stats. Okay, so scouting report. All right, he's a 4-star prospect. I've liked this kid coming out of high school. He plays bigger than his size at 5'8", 210. He's got the BMI that we're looking for, but a lot of people are concerned about him because he's so short. But Devon A-Chain, nobody seemed to care about last year in the draft. And I know he was a little bit more explosive, played in the SEC, and was very durable, and I get it. But we're going to have to see how that plays out in Miami. So I think people are a little down on Blake Corum because of the size, but he's kind of the same size as DeAndre Swift, who is now on my Philadelphia Eagles, and we were really excited about that guy coming out of college. So a lot of people are off the Blake Corum train, but I'm not getting off it just yet. Not yet. He's got good contact balance, power, jump cuts. Dude sees the field outstanding. He really does. Another knock on him is that people don't like his age. I think he's going to be 23 or 24. But again, in the quarterback, or I'm sorry, in the running back realm world we live in now in the NFL, all you're looking for is 4 or 5 years. So, I mean, if he's drafted at age 24 and they get him, day 2 draft capital, that's 4 years of production. Then he's probably, no one's going to be interested in him anyway. So I'm not really worried about his age. Yeah, would it be nice if he was 21? Sure. But I'm not sure the NFL is really going to care, too, if he's one of the better backs in the NFL draft, all right? Size and age are going to be his knocks, his stride length, and he lacks long speed. He's got, just the way he's built. He's very short, and he's got shorter legs. But at the same time, that allows him to navigate and shift a lot. And again, space creation is what I really look for in a lot of running backs. And I think Blake Corum is a lot shiftier than Donovan Edwards right now. So if I'm comparing Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum right now, they're both 4 and 5. They could flip by this time next year. I'm not sure. I like Blake Corum as a runner. I think he's got better vision, more power, and I know the kid lives and breathes football. And teams are going to love his intangibles. So again, he's a day 2 selection. I know these draft and dynasty projections all sound the same, but it really is. I don't see a day 1 guy. I see a myriad of these backs being taken in round 2, and some are probably going to fall into round 3. Okay, but he's a solid second rounder, I think, in rookie drafts. And I think again, he's a committee back. He could be a spot starter, but again, he's not going to come in and lead a backfield. I'm not sure there's many backs in this class overall that are going to be, bell cows, like coming in to be a Breece Hall or something like that. Could change, but not at this very moment. All right, coming in at number 3, Braelon Allen, Wisconsin running back, 6'2", 240 pounds. He will be a junior. A lot of excitement about Braelon Allen. Okay, now he's a really young running back. I think he came into college and he was 17 years old. So he's like 19 now or 20 or something like that. So he's got a lot of room to grow. People got excited. He is not Jonathan Taylor, everyone. Let me just, time everybody out. He's a Wisconsin running back. I know, but he's not nearly as explosive as Jonathan Taylor. And you can see here, he only had 17 receptions over two seasons. He also had 5 fumbles in 2 years. So all these kids, man, they got to start holding on to the ball a little better. You can see his PFF grades here. Nothing stands out as great. I mean, the thing that really kind of comes out to me is his 2.9 yards after contact. But I'm going to go with, because he's young and he has the ability to get better. He's got a good build. I really like his footwork for a back of his size, much better than Raheim Sanders. So that's why Allen, I've got him above Raheim Sanders as far as the big backs in this class. All right, those are the 2 biggest backs in the class, is Braelon Allen and Raheim Sanders. Okay, but what he lacks with that is his elusiveness, yards after the catch, and long speed. All right, so all these running backs we're talking about all have a little bit of things they need to improve. There's no perfect prospect coming out of this class. All right, his draft and dynasty projection. Again, day 2 selection. He could be a late first, early second. Again, if he gets the draft capital, early second round, and lands on a team that really needs, a running back, he could be vaulted up into that first round. Okay, but a lot to like about Braelon Allen. He's the one player in this draft that I'm going to be keeping a really, really, really close eye on. And again, not to sound like a broken record, I have an all 22 film review on this channel, so go check that out, please. And you'll kind of really get to see what he looks like, for a full game, run in and every play, not just the highlights. All right, last 2 guys. All right, Trey Benson. Number 2, running back, 6'1", 221 pounds. He is a junior coming off an ACL injury. Kind of rebounded really nice. Is really his first season at Florida State last year. And he, over 2 years averaged 6.7 yards a carry, had 11 receptions. Most of that was from last season. Hasn't fumbled the ball in 2 years, which is pretty nice. All right. And you can see his grades, man. Look at his PFF grades across the board. Pretty solid. I mean, I'm loving that 4.5, yards after contact. He's a 4-star prospect. He's got a thick build. He's got a strong lower half. The contact balance, the yards after contact are just fantastic. You watch this guy run. He's low center gravity. He's not the most explosive guy. The one couple knocks on him, he's not going to have that long speed to break away, but that's okay. That's icing on the cake for me for a running back, is to have that breakaway speed, because so much has to happen for you even to use your breakaway speed, to put yourself in a position to use that breakaway speed. But Trey Benson, sometimes the decision making has me worried. Sometimes he dances a lot at the line of scrimmage. Sometimes he's indecisive when he wants to run the ball. And vision is a hallmark that, every great running back has to see the field, has to see things develop in front of him. That's what I'll be looking and watching for with Trey Benson. But I'll tell you what, if he gets early day draft capital, early day 2, he's going to be, again, a day 2, I think, draft selection. I don't think he's going to make himself into the first round. And again, I know it sounds like a broken record. The rookie draft, he's the first and early second, depending on where he gets drafted and his landing spot. But I could see him being a league committee back. I could see him, if he has a really productive season in 2023, stays on the field and just looks like he did last year and continues his, getting a little better at the line of scrimmage and navigating through that line, I think he could be a big riser. But, Trey Benson, if you look at it, just a typical good, hard-nosed, low center of gravity running back who doesn't, doesn't shy away from contact, Trey Benson's your guy. All right, coming in at number 1 is TREVEYON Henderson from Ohio State, 5'10", 214 pounds. All right, so 2021, he comes in, Ohio State freshman, just balls out. Everybody at the end of 2021 season is TREVEYON Henderson is the next best running back in the 2024 draft class, without a doubt. Last year, foot injury, him and Ryan Day didn't see eye to eye on a couple things. There was some talk about him not being happy there, maybe hitting the transfer portal. Last season's film wasn't nearly as good as the first year, but I'm going to bank on what I saw his freshman year, and he's coming into this year healthy. He's made up with the team or the coaches or whatever, off the field issues that he has. And I think they've got a new quarterback in Kyle McCord or Devin Brown, whoever ends up, running away with that job. And I think they're going to feature Henderson often, big time. And that other running back there, Mayan Williams, is too. I think they're going to run even more. But TREVEYON Henderson, you'll see on the PFF grades here that there really wasn't any percentages I could put on the end of these things, because he really didn't play a whole lot last year, and he didn't reach the threshold of 125 carries. And I wasn't trying to fit him in anywhere. But again, averaged 6.4 yards over 2 years, and that was one season where he was nicked up pretty good. I mean, he was an explosive running back when he was a freshman. I mean, he really, really was. And I'm going to bank on that's what he comes back in his junior year and kills it. He was a 5-star prospect. Again, Ohio State running backs, they have a tendency to hit the NFL and be productive. He had really good vision, defensive manipulation, good acceleration. His change of direction I thought was fantastic, and that's a big plus for me because that creates space. You have to create space as a running back. You've got to create on your own. And Henderson has that film littered all over his freshman film, without a doubt. The only knock on him is his injuries and his second-year production. Was his first year as a freshman kind of an anomaly, or is that really the Henderson? I'm going to bank that it is. And I think if he comes out and has a banner year at Ohio State, puts up 1,400 yards and 12, 13 touchdowns, and looks like his old self, I think he's hands down going to be the number 1 running back off the class, of the class in the 2024 draft class, right? And at that point, he could be a mid-first rounder if he is. And I think he has lead back potential if, in fact, he does really ball out his junior year. So there's only one senior that we talked about out of these 7 backs, and that's that's Blake Corum. The rest of them are juniors. So there's a good chance 1 or 2 of these guys might actually go back for their senior year like Zach Charbonnet did 2 years ago. But right now, those are my top 7 running backs for the 2024 draft that I think have the best chance of hitting our dynasty rosters. All right. So what you're looking at right now, I'm going to go through, and you can see the top 7 that we just kind of talked about, are on the list here. And then we got some other guys. All right. I just wanted to kind of, mention these names. This is part of my product that I sell. It's basically I call it the Devy to Dynasty dashboard. It's a database of all future classes, the 2024 running back class, the 2025, 2026. So if you play Dynasty, man, and you want a resource to look to the future and get early scouting reports and get early all 22 exclusive films and a great chat about college football, man, At the end here, very shortly, I'm going to post an email. You can send me an email, and I'll give you a 2-week trial to my dashboard and check it out. Most people who get the trial stick around because it's pretty cool. It's a great research center. And I got Dynasty ranks on there, film reviews, all sorts of good stuff. But let's go back to what we're looking at right here, okay? So we already talked about the top 7, all right? Jason McClellan, I'm going to run through these really quick, but I at least wanted to get you names of people to put on your radar, okay? So we got Jason McClellan going to Alabama. He had an early ACL injury in his career. He should be the feature back at Alabama. We already know Alabama puts running backs like Brian Robinson had to wait his turn. That's what they do at Alabama. Everybody has to wait their turn. It's Jason McClellan's turn. He could be a riser, a big riser, if he has a solid year. Jarquez Hunter is in a little off the field issues right now, but I still really like his film. 5'10", 212 pounds from Auburn. So this is a little sketchy right now, but I'll tell you, if he gets that off the field concern taken care of and he comes back and he did some stupid tape online and I think he got out there, he didn't realize it. The death of social media can really hurt people, and this is one of those instances where it hurt Jarquez, but the kid can play. Marshawn Lloyd, man. Oh, I loved Marshawn Lloyd when he went to South Carolina as a freshman. Loved him coming out of high school. He tore his ACL. Now he's at USC. Has the opportunity to really put his name on the map with a good season. Devin Neal from Kansas, just a solid, good all-around running back. Good size, 5'11", 208, playing for Kansas. Mayan Williams, we just spoke about. I think him and Henderson are going to get fed the rock a ton at Ohio State. He's a big baller, 5'8", 227 pounds. Again, I think he'd be nothing more than a committee back, but with a good season, he might sneak up and get inside that top 7 list. Jaquindon Jackson is a converted quarterback who's now playing running back at Utah. Really finished the season strong last year. Good size, 6'2", 232 pounds. So he's another player with a good season who could, arguably, make a big jump in the draft class. Montrell Johnson Jr. From Florida, 5'11", 218. And Jonathan Brooks, really the big unknown, is playing behind Bijan Robinson and Roschon Johnson for 2 years. Jonathan Brooks was no slouch coming out of high school. Good size, 6 foot, 204 pounds. He's going to get the lead rock, at Texas this year, and see if he can hold off Cedric Baxter Jr., who's an incoming freshman this year at Texas. But there you got it. There you guys got it, man. That is my kind of overview of where the 2024 draft running back class looks like. I mean, overall, I think it's a solid class. I don't see any Breece Halls right now. I don't see, any backs, that are going to come out and be like, yeah, they are going to be the starting running back on my team. Not yet. Could happen, but not right now. I need to see some more work from these kids. I'm going to be rooting for them all. So thanks for watching, everyone. And again, I'm going to post right here, right now. I'm going to give you my quarterback show and give you an early glimpse of what the 2024 quarterback class looks like. And I am in production of creating my wide receiver list, which will go probably 10 or 12 deep with maybe a total of 20 names. So some really good wide receivers headed to the draft in 2024. Thanks for watching, everyone. And please hit that subscribe button. Support the channel. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.